Hello, online crew. Let's talk today about 5 habits that are going to help you become more productive and save time. This is a big issue time. We can't manage time. The clock is going to keep on ticking around and it's just going to keep moving forward. You can't actually manage time, but you can manage you in what you do with your time. And the more effective that you are with your time, the more you're going to get done. The more you're going to minimize things like overwhelm and wasting time and, kind of kicking yourself. Oh, I wish I've sort of got to the end of the day and there's nothing ticked off my to-do list. What the hell did I do all day? Can you relate to that? Where sometimes you've got a big plan for the day and you get to the end of the day and it's like, I didn't do anything I wanted to do. So there's lots of tips I could give you regarding planning and organization and all the things, but I just want to share 5 things with you. Some of them you might want to try to see if it helps you be a little bit more effective and productive with your time. There is no question, and I've seen it from people that I mentor and have coached and mentored over time, and even myself. The more time I have on my hands, the more unproductive I am. Can you relate to that? So the more time that you have that you don't kind of plan your day and you don't, or you've got some downtime, the more time you actually waste and you're not effective. So I know when I haven't got my plan in place and when I'm not organized, I end up scrolling social media a lot more than I should or is effective for me to do so. Because if there's nothing really planned or you're not accountable to anything, what does it matter? So I know, and even students that I mentor, the ones that have got more time to get the work done actually usually are less productive than the ones that are busier, because you kind of, you're forced to plan your day a little bit more when you're busy. I know I am the most productive when I'm absolutely super flat out, because I don't let things grab my attention. I don't have time. It's like, okay, I've got a call from here to here. I've got a training from here to here. I have to get that done for this between here and here. Like, I'm so super productive the busier I am. Can you relate to that? So just don't always think time is the answer to all your problems, because there are plenty of people with a lot of time on their hands, but they are so not productive because they have time on their hands. I hope that makes sense to you. So if you're here with me live, welcome back to the normal schedule. I had a few days off with my husband last week. We had a little Valentine's getaway. Did you see the reels that I put up? It was so awesome. We were right on the river. The weather was perfect. We relaxed, we kayaked, we drank, we ate. It was just amazing. So highly recommend, even if it is just a couple of days, get out of your environment sometimes to recharge. Get out of your house, get out of your town, go somewhere different. We were only an hour and a half away, but it was just amazing. So if you're here live with me, say hello. We've got Tony, we've got Liz, we've got Dean. Absolutely done that. Hello, Doreen. Lovely to see you on. We've got Liz. Totally relate to that. Yes, can relate to that. So true. Guilty. Ford. Yep, Claudette can relate to that. Yep, definitely makes a difference. So I want to share with you 5 things that I do. They're just little things. Like, this isn't rocket science, but it definitely helps me save time during the day when I do these things. Okay, because as I just said before, the more time that you actually have, I bet the more time that you actually waste. So number one is what I call the capture method. And all I mean by that is have some kind of system that works for you, that when something pops into your head and it's something that you need to go and do, or it's a phone call you need to make, or there's something you need to follow up, or you need to check something on the internet, or you need to pay a bill, or whatever it is, capture it, let it go, and come back to it later. People pride themselves on multitasking, but it is one of the biggest time sucks ever for you to have a thought and actually act on it in that moment. So let's say you're working on something and it's like, oh, I forgot to ring dad or mum or whatever. I better do that. You go and do that. You make the phone call. Then you get distracted by something else. And then, like 3 hours later, you come back to what you were meant to be doing. Or you're working on something, a thought pops in about something else you need to go and do. And so you get up and go and do it in that moment. As soon as you do that, you're breaking your concentration and you are wasting more time than you realize. So the capture method is when you're doing something that you should be, like for your business or whatever you're doing, and a thought pops into your head, get it down somewhere there in the moment and let it go. Let it go. Just if it's a piece of paper, mine is the notes section of my phone, because here's the other thing that happens. And I don't know whether happens as you kind of get older or what it is, but have you ever had a thought come in, not acted on it, not written it down, and then 15 minutes later go, oh, what was that really important thing that I was going to do or that I had to remember that I had to do? I did this yesterday. I thought, oh, that's a really good live video topic. I'll do that next week. And I didn't capture it. So then I came back to it about 20 minutes later and it's like, oh, what was that topic that I thought I was going to do a live video on? Completely forgotten it. And then I was frustrated with myself and racked my brain for ages on and off for the next couple of hours, trying to think about what it was that I was going to talk about on a live video next week. I couldn't remember it for the life of me. It did actually come back, but the amount of time that I wasted trying to remember what it was that I thought about in the moment and I didn't capture it, like I know better than that. But this is really helpful for those of you that, do you have a little bit of a squirrel brain? You're a little bit of ADD. You think about a lot of different things at a lot of time. When the thoughts come in, have what I call the capture method, what works for you. Mine is the notes section of my phone. That wouldn't work right now because I'm on my phone up here on Instagram. But I always have pieces of paper around me that I quickly, write it down. So twofold. One, you're not going to interrupt what you're already doing. And the other thing is you're not going to waste time trying to remember what it is that you should have done. Okay? So that's what we call the capture method. The second one, when you start your day, I call it one of two things: daily highlights or today's adventure. So if you've got a pen and you're writing these down, think of this. So today's highlights. So what are my highlights for the day going to be? Or what's today's adventure going to be? I just like to think of things in a really positive way. So when you think of the day that's coming, don't think of all the things that you need to do that you really don't want to do. It's like, what's the adventure that I'm going to go on today? And pick your top 3. So I always, the night before, every day, I've got to get things out of my head. Otherwise, I wake up in the middle of the night. Sometimes I still do, thinking about all the things that I've got to do. So I sort of look at my list and make sure I've got a list for the following day before my head hits the pillow. But the next morning, I'm still reevaluating, because how many of you are list people? And you've got way too many things on your list, and you get to the end of the day, you haven't achieved everything on your list, and you feel unproductive and unaccomplished. So what number 2 about is your daily highlights or today's adventure is just the 3 things that you've got to get done. And that could just be a phone call, whatever. This may not make sense to you, but psychologically, what that does when you've got your 3 main highlights or the 3 main adventures for the day, that's just a play on language to think really positively about the things that you've got to do. When you actually cross off your top 3, it sends signals to your brain that you've accomplished something, and it's a good positive feel. You need that. You need that every day. When your list is so long that you could never, ever get to it at the end of your day, the reverse happens. This psychologically, you're going, I didn't achieve what I wanted to today. And then subconsciously, you're thinking you're unproductive, you're not getting enough done, and it's just a negative spiral from there. So when you can actually productively have your daily highlights or today's adventure And it's just 3 things, or they just might be 3 things that are separated off your to-do list, but then you got to make sure you get them done. So one, you're very intentionally following through with what you absolutely need to do that day. And then at the end of the day, when you know you've done it, you've sent a good positive message to yourself that you've achieved something for that day. When you feel good about what you've accomplished, it builds your confidence. When your confidence grows, you actually do more and you end up being more productive. These are really little things, but psychologically, they make a big difference. Just test them out and tell me later how it went. Okay. Just trust me on some of these things. Number three. Number 3 is what I call a rainbow calendar. How many of you work on an electronic or a paper calendar where things are color coded? If you don't, I would highly encourage you to test it out. Colors mean things, whether it's personal, whether it's business, whether it's Zoom calls, whether it's your company, whether it's the kids, whether it's, whatever. But color code your day. Have different highlighter pens. I love my highlighter pens. I also have a Google Calendar where things are in different colored things, and have spots for downtime. If you have a calendar and you have big gaps, so you've got your first call at 9 a.m. and then don't have your next one until 11 and then one at 4 or something, whatever you're doing in your day, like things aren't sort of planned out like that. Guess what you end up doing in those blocks where you haven't got anything written? You are wasting time. I guarantee it. If you're not intentionally blocking out times for things that you need to do, like planning ahead, color coding things, like just test it out and see if it works for you. If you have problems organizing your life and you waste a lot of time, try color coding your day. And it might be that yellow is your downtime. It's lunchtime, it's play, it's scroll social media, but that's okay because you've color coded it for that time during that day. But if you only put things in your calendar of like calls and appointments and everything else that you need to get done in your business, you're not time blocking or color coding in priority, whatever, you will waste that time. I'll say it again. People with more time on their hands and more blocks in their calendar that are not allocated for certain tasks, they waste a lot more time because there's nothing planned there. There's nothing actually planned in there that you need to do. Now, don't be one of those people and plan out your calendar and then not execute your calendar. There's plenty of those people. I've worked with plenty of those. They've got their calendar planned out, but they don't actually follow their calendar. So that's not going to be productive for you. But I call that the rainbow calendar. So work out when you've got your playtime, your downtime, and color code it. And just fill your calendar with the things that you need to do and make time spots for them. Because if you don't, you're just going to waste a lot of time. You're going to become really unproductive. Okay? Number 5. Number 5 is what I call the 5-minute method. And this has two avenues to it. Firstly, when I sit down to a task, I've got 5 minutes to get going. How many of you sit down and think for far too long? Procrastinate for far too long, overthink things for far too long, and you're still sitting in front of your phone or your computer or whatever you're doing 30 minutes later and you haven't done a damn thing towards what it is that you sat down for. So set yourself a rule in your head. You got 5 minutes to get going on this task. Just start writing, start doing something, start working towards it. Start doing something within 5 minutes of sitting down for that task and set yourself up for success with that. Don't allow yourself to go longer than 5 minutes just thinking about what you're doing, because you will distract yourself. You'll end up scrolling. You'll end up checking your email. You'll pick up your phone. You'll do a message. If you don't get going in 5 minutes, you're probably not. So you have to force yourself to get going on what you're working on within the first few minutes. Otherwise, you will end up like 2 hours later and you've scrolled your phone for half an hour of that. You've checked a few emails. You get back to what you were going to do and it's like, oh, I haven't even started this, because you didn't get going in the first 5 minutes. So that's the first avenue of the 5-minute method. The other avenue of the first 5-minute method is, and I do this all the time, I don't waste time very often when I'm kind of out and about or I've got a downtime. Even, have any of you sort of seen my deck? and the view that we've got. Like, I love sitting out there on a beautiful sunny day, but I won't just go out there and sit out there and read a book. My phone is out there. I'm listening to videos. I'm writing notes. I'm planning trainings for the next week. I'm coming up with live video topics. Like, I don't even care if it's I'm out on the deck for 10 minutes. I'm doing something in that 10 minutes. If I'm in the car at school waiting for the kids, to come out of school, like there's 5 minutes there, I'll start cleaning out emails. How many of you have got emails, or you haven't cleaned out your emails lately? You've got an email inbox that is ridiculous. When you've got 5 minutes, start deleting, and then delete your deleted, okay? So if you delete, then go and delete your deleted or your spam folders or whatever, go and checking it. You can achieve lots of different things in 5-minute blocks when you're really precious about your time. I'm precious about my time, and I don't waste a lot of time. But I do know when I'm not planned out, I waste a lot more time. And then I kick myself because it's like, well, you just wasted an hour scrolling Instagram, looking at other people's stuff, comparing yourself to everyone else and what they're doing instead of getting done what you need to get done. So protect your time. So 5 minutes to get started with something. And if you go 10, 15 minutes, then there's your wake up call. Okay, it's like, no, I've really got to get into this now, because you will just end up distracting yourself, and half an hour will go by, an hour go by, and you're going to have a really unproductive day. And the other 5 minute, the rule to the 5 minute method is when you've got 5 minutes, even if I'm going to the doctor's and I'm sitting in a waiting room, I will be doing something in that 5 minutes. I'll be writing notes or I'll be researching content, or catching up on a training with, earphones in, whatever. You can actually do a lot in 5-minute blocks. So train yourself that way. You will be far more productive and you will save yourself a lot of time. Okay. The last one is to do with your mobile phone. Mobile phones are amazing. You got a phone and internet connection. You can work from anywhere. Amazing. People can contact you all the time. Not so amazing. People send you messages and expect you to reply like that. Not so amazing. So there's good and downfalls with obviously phones. But when you're working and you're time blocking, have some mobile phone strategies. One of those, and this gets me into trouble sometimes, but my phone is constantly on silent. Pretty much every day, all day. Yeah, I miss the phone ringing every now and again. But also at nighttime, and when I'm with family or whatever, I put it on focus mode. Do you guys know how to set up when you go into focus and you choose personal? And then when you set personal, you can only allow calls to come through from who you want to. So when I put it on focus mode and I put personal, the only people that can get through to me when I'm in that mode is my kids. So my boys, my husband, my sisters, the nursing home. There's only a select few people that can actually get through. So I will get messages from those people. My phone will ring from those people, but those people only. Okay. So, even if you're one of those terrible people that have your mobile phone by your bed at night, most people say, I use it as my alarm clock. Go and get an old-fashioned alarm clock and get your phones out of your bedrooms. How many of you will just pick up your phone to check something, and then an hour later you were going to bed, but you've been scrolling TikTok or Instagram, and now it's an hour later from when you were going to go to sleep, and you've looked at your mobile phone screen, so now you've got all the blue rate lies, and now you're awake again. Like, just have some mobile phone strategies to minimize the distraction from it. The other thing, when you're working and you're working on a task and you're trying to get in it within that first 5 minutes to get going, put your mobile phone upside down. Don't look at the screen. Don't look at the notifications. Don't get distracted by it. Your time is precious, and the only one that's going to make you money and grow your business is you. So protect your time. Anybody can wait for 30 minutes. Anyone. If you're working on something that you know you need to get done, and you've got your mobile phone next to you, but your screen normally shows, like mine's got a cover, so I just close the cover. But if you've got a screen that's open, put the freaking thing upside down and don't look at the screen while you're working on what you need to work on. Because what you're seeing is a message pop up. Oh, who's that? I'll answer them. And then 20 minutes go by, or you go to pick up, just check that on Facebook. Oh, an hour later, you're like, oh my gosh, where did that hour go? Mobile phones are amazing, but they're also completely distracting from what you need to get done for you and your business and whatever else. So mobile phone strategies like putting your phone upside down, even if it's next to you, putting it on silent mode, putting it on focus mode, but personal people only. So if there's something going on with the family and they need to get through to you, at least they can. Those kind of strategies, get it out of your bedroom, buy an old-fashioned alarm clock. You don't need it by you. If you use it for meditations and things like that, find another device to put it on, or be really strict with yourself, because mobile phones in the bedroom are just not a healthy thing for you to do. I know it's life for most people, but it's just not, it's not a productive thing for you. Okay. So what do you think of those things? Could you try at least 1 or 2 or 3 of those things and get a little bit more disciplined? Protect your time and be more productive. Do not pride yourself on being a multitasker. The only time you should be multitasking is when you're doing, this is what I do all the time, something meaningless that you have to do, where I can be listening to a video or an Audible or, you know, something at the same time. So I do that when I'm driving my car. I'll have, you know, maybe the phone by my side listening to something. So I'll be listening while I'm driving because I'm just driving anyway. When I'm doing the vacuuming or I'm cooking in the kitchen or something where I'm just doing something that I don't really have to think much, I'll have something that I'm listening to, a training that I'm catching up on, or videos that I need to watch or things like that. That's really the only time you should be multitasking. You shouldn't be multitasking when you've got things to do for your business. So the phone goes to the side, upside down, closed, off, silent, whatever it is, and protect your time. Be very, very aware of how badly you multitask. So things like the first one I mentioned with the capture method, like if a thought comes in, don't derail yourself. Don't get the ADD and be doing 5 different things at once. Write it down, let it go, and come back to it later. Like all these things can make a big difference to your productivity. So is there anything on that list that you can go and try? I'd love to know. Put it in the comments. Oh, Suzette, you're coming up as Facebook user. So you just need to click the StreamYard link at the bottom of the description of this live. It just means you're watching from my group, and then I'll be able to see who you are in the future. Dean has a list for all my lists. I get it. I'm a list person, and that's why when the list gets too big, it can get overwhelming. So when you put the daily highlight or today's adventure and just put the top 3 things you're going to do for that day, and if you can get more done, amazing, but at least get those things done. So psychologically, you're setting yourself up for success and, being productive and confident. Me, love the color calendar. Do that on my cell phone. Beth, these 5 habits are great to revisit again for me. Thank you for sharing this. Timely for me. Awesome. I'm glad that's helpful. And Beth's got that over the email inbox. Every now and again, go and in your downtime, when you're sitting on the couch watching TV, in the ad breaks, there's 5 minutes you could clean out some of your emails. Use your time wisely. Faye's vacuuming and listening to me. Love it, Faye. My kind of person. Oh boy, yeah, not sure who that is, but you're relating to what I'm saying. Thank you for this wake-up call. Awesome. Oh my gosh, I needed this message today. Amazing. All of it. Great ideas. Everything. After 9 months of life-changing events for me, these are great strategies that I will start right now. I will leave it on that note. I'm glad it's helpful to some of you. I know you guys listen to trainings like this and go, yeah, that's a good idea. I should probably do it. I would, if you didn't have a pen, I would re-listen to this video, write them down, and actually go and execute some of these things, because you do need to protect your time. But more than that, you need to be productive in the time that you have. And the more time that you have, the more time you will waste unless you're implementing strategies like these. So I hope this is really helpful for you. Go and execute it, put it into practice, and just become more productive and protect your time. Okay? I'll see you later in the week for more great training.